Hi, I'm Stuart Morgan, Customer Success Lead at Appello. Today we're going to be looking at SBR, or the Single Best Record application that Appello have rolled out for use for all of our customers. It's hoped that by watching this video and using the SBR user guide, you'll be able to navigate the transparent and easy to use platform to not only view your data, but also amend any data that we hold for residents as well as for your scheme. So let's have a look at SBR. When loading it up, you'll be presented with this dashboard view. You'll notice that ARC calls are referred to quite frequently. The ARC is the Alarm Receiving Center, otherwise known as Appello. Here you'll be able to see calls in terms of volumes for yesterday, this week, and last week, and also similar information held in a useful visual infographic where you can hover over parts of the pie chart to see what types of calls were received and what volumes. So here we can see 2 no reply calls at the door were received. Again, over here on the right hand side, we can see a number of different calls. 4 door calls. On this occasion, carer calls were received. For any real detail regarding the higher volumes of calls, we can click down here. A single left click will take you to that call. It'll give you details of the start and end time of the call, how quickly it connected to Appello and we answered the call, and any notes that we hold. Resident information is held here. Gender and ages are held in a very easy to read format, and again this is visible on the right hand side in a pie chart. You will notice that there is an other or unknown section, but this generally relates to non-resident information, i.e. devices such as lift activations, fire panels, wall safes, and any other non-resident devices. If you look after multiple schemes, you can click up here on the left-hand side of the navigation panel. This will give you access to a number of different schemes if you are responsible for several schemes, or if you have a single scheme that you look after, just a single scheme will show. You can then select that, and then that will allow you to then go back to your dashboard and view the data for that particular scheme. Again, the information is pulled quite quickly. It pulls it live, real time from our call handling platform, so you have a real view of the information that Appello can see at any given time. Scheme details will show all of the details for your particular scheme that you manage, including the name, the address, and importantly, from a fire panel compliance perspective, the details of the last fire panel test that was performed at your site. If you want to see the specifics of the call, not just the date and time, again, you'd like to see any notes that have been added, or you'd like to see how quickly it connected to Appello, you can click on this link here and that'll take you to the call so you can see those details. If any information we hold is incorrect, you can update by clicking, make the necessary changes, and then click on submit. And then after a few moments, that will refresh and the data will be uploaded real time to Appello's records. So our operators will be able to access that immediately. Alternatively, if you don't need to make any changes, you can just cancel. Down here, you can print scheme details. Any details of the scheme that we hold, the name, the address, any scheme notes, any scheme contacts can be printed off here in various formats, PDF, in Excel, or in Word. At any stage where you see the button generate, if you generate the report by clicking on this button, a little link will appear after a while. You can then click on the link once it appears, and that will allow you to either open a report or it will allow you to save it to your local PC. Scheme notes give us details of other developments nearby that may be able to assist if you are away or unable to assist, helpful residents, key safe codes, and quite importantly, any details of regular weekly fire panel tests. I'd strongly encourage you upon reviewing your data to ensure that we have a note to show your weekly fire panel test date and time. If no note is showing, we can quickly click on New Note, or alternatively, if a note is showing but it's out of date and needs to be corrected, you can double click here where the weekly fire panel test note is showing, and that will allow you to go in and update that note accordingly. So let's go ahead and add a new note. The note subject will give a number of different options. From here, we will select weekly fire panel test and we'll type in Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Now, we'll be looking at any calls that we receive every Wednesday. If we receive a call outside of the test time, then we will call the emergency services as a precaution. But if it's within 10 minutes either side of this particular time, we'll make sure that a fire panel test is monitored and the call is closed down accordingly. But any further fire panel calls will ensure to call the fire service for you for the safety of your residents. If you're happy with that note and this is a regular weekly fire panel test, you would then hit submit. However, if this is just a temporary note, you can add a date of expiry and that will then drop off on the date that you've prescribed. However, because this is a weekly fire panel test, we would assume this is an ongoing date that is in the diary so that we're aware of it for any future calls we receive. If you have missed your fire panel test and want to put a fire test today only, you can do that. We would strongly recommend that you put fire test today. The date needs to then be added and the time. If it's just for today, then we would recommend that the note then drops off the following day. For any of these notes, if you're then happy with the content, you can hit submit. You'll notice it then says adding scheme note. The information will then be uploaded to Appello's CareNet platform, where our operators will be able to see this information in real time. And as we can see here, from looking at the scheme details, when we scroll down, that note has now been added. We can either double click to amend that note or delete it, or we can add further notes if required. Scheme contact information is held here, so any information for yourself, contractors, area managers, or any other contacts that we should call in various events can be listed here. Again, you can double click to change existing information or delete existing information, or you can add a new contact. Calls, off-site and on-site are provided. Off-site are calls off your site into Appello. On-site are only for customers who currently have our Smart Living solution tablet ward and call equipment. If you don't have Smart Living solution, you can ignore these and just click the off-site calls, and this will present you with 28 days worth of data for your entire scheme. The call start times, end times, duration, device, and any resident information is here, as well as the call end reason. Now, this is the reason code that our operators will use at the end of a call to quickly classify a call. Also importantly, any call notes are added here, and we can quickly see there are no notes here, but if we scroll down, there are some calls where notes have been added. By double clicking on any of these which has a note, such as this note here, you'll not only be able to see details of that particular call, in this case, the start and end time, the wait duration, again, that's in seconds, and details of the device, but you'll also be able to see all of the operator actions that were taken and all of the call notes. It's important to note that operators do use a number of different abbreviations, and all of the abbreviations are referred to in the SBR user guide, so please take a look at that. Call data is held for 28 days, but should you require any reports by reason, summary, or detail, that information provides you with 2 years worth of data. So you can select your scheme. You can select any call reason that you would like. So for example, I'm aware you may not be able to see this, but we can click on fire emergency calls. We can then look at the scheme, choose which reporting format we would like to have. I'll leave this as PDF. We can choose a reporting period, yesterday, today, last week. We can choose a number of weeks. Here the X value can be specified between 1 to 12, so that could be weeks or months, and the report time granularity in hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly presentation formats. Once you then click on Generate, after you've made all of your selections up here, a link will appear which you can open and either view or download to your local PC. Resident information is held on this particular part of the navigation panel, and this will show you all of the surnames and forenames, ages, genders, apartments, and all the calls that we've received for particular residents. By double clicking on a resident, it'll take you into that resident's details. It'll show you names, dates of birth, etc., which apartment they're in, and it will also give you an option to update the information if it's incorrect. If they have moved because they've gone into care, or if they've moved to go to live with family, if they've sadly passed away, or if they've changed their apartment, you can make those changes here. Additionally, if a resident has any keywords, those are noted here. For example, they may have a medical condition, or they may hold a mobile phone that you'd like us to be aware of in the event of an emergency. Again, if it's a temporary note, you can add a date of expiry and it will automatically drop off our system. But if it's a more permanent item or permanent note, such as a medical condition, then obviously do not use the date of expiry and just submit the information to us. Devices then finally shows the details of all dwellings, so that's all of the apartments. The communal areas, so that's the residence lounge, laundry room, and other communal areas, and the main door panel. If we look at dwellings, we can see all of the various apartments listed at your development, either by name, number, or address. And we can also perform a search. If we type in number 11, for example, then the system will quickly filter down to number 11, and we can double click on it and it will open up that particular device. Again, once the information is loaded, we can update anything that's incorrect. We can print details. We can view information that's held here in the device notes or add notes. We can add residents. So if a resident was living alone, has married, and a partner has moved in, you can add a resident who would live in that apartment with them. And again, any calls for that particular device in the last 28 days are shown here. Importantly, if you do have carers and they are part and parcel of the service that you offer, if there's not a global password, in which case Appello would not need to be made aware, but if you do need to refer to Appello to make us aware of carers that are coming in at the main door for a particular apartment, you can add a note to the main door panel. This means if we receive a call from the door panel and a note is added to it, we'll be able to see that and permit access with the information that you've provided. Again, all of the information how we add and delete device notes, resident details, view call data are provided within this video and provided within the SBR user guide. If you do have any questions, then please don't hesitate to contact us. But I hope you enjoy SBR, the advantages that it brings, and the wealth of data that's now at your fingertips. Thank you for watching this video.